Hey boys and girls, it's Nice Talker here. Welcome along today to the Fortebraccio Pikemen guide. Check it out. Today we're going to learn everything you'll need to know to get and play this absolutely brilliant and super powerful unit. We're going to have a bit of an overview of their stats for both top and bottom line. We're going to show you how pikes work generally, and then some of the formations and some of the little tricks to keeping them close to you and attacking in open formation as well. And we're going to explain a whole lot of benefits like doctrines and things like that that will really help this unit perform on the battlefield. Without further ado, let's go into a bit of an explanation on their stats, top and bottom line. So, first thing we're going to talk about is the two potential veteran lines here. Both top and bottom are completely viable, and both are certainly usable within the game itself. The top line gives you plus 11 piercing damage, plus 10% armor penetration, plus 20% armor penetration while bracing, plus 6% damage while bracing, plus 12% critical value, 5% range damage reduction, and double strike while bracing, which means they hit 2 targets at once instead of 1 if they have 2 targets in their hitbox. Flicking over now to the bottom line. On bottom line, you'll get plus 5% piercing damage, plus 9% piercing defense, plus 5% range damage reduction, plus 6% slashing defense, plus 20% damage reduction from cavalry, very useful against those Laos and Hussars, plus 10% movement speed, which is very good for this unit, plus 9% health, and plus 20% to all defenses. As you can see, there are excellent bonuses to both. The top line's all about bracing, the bottom line is a much broader platform for doing all sorts of flexible movement maneuvers and attacks. Let's move over now to a bit more in the training room. Okay, so here we are in the training room. The very first thing I want to show you is how pikes work generally. And this is how all pikes work, not just Fortebraccio Pike. So that's, including Imperial Pike Guard, Pike Militia, Domain Pikemen, everyone. The way that they work is that you get maximum damage at the tip of the pike. And the closer that you get to the pikeman, the less and less damage you do. All the way down to where these gentlemen here are standing. See these guys all the way here? They're taking no damage at all because they are too close to the pike unit and not at all close to the tip of the pike. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, don't forget that this man here can still stab him and this man here can still stab him. So if you hit the V key, they will do just that. Once you're out of formation, you tend to do a lot less damage. And you have to suck them in back to the standard formation for the pikes. So that is how all pikes work, and you've got to be aware of that. Damage at the tip of the pike, no damage all the way down towards the person holding it. Let's talk about the formations. The first one is the line formation, and this is most useful for holding wider passages, or also when used from behind a nice defensive wall of shields or stalwarts or something like that. It's the reason it's not the one that you would use the most often is because you're halving the amount of pike points in any given area. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll show you once we've wiped this unit out. Here's the block formation. You'll see now that each person attacking here is getting attacked by 4 pikes in a row rather than 2 in a row, which they would in the line formation. And what that lends itself to is defending in enclosed areas, such as this. You'll see that anyone coming through there at any given spot, say here, or here, or here, whatever, they're getting attacked by 4 pikemen at once instead of 2. You'll notice that because the pikemen do a little bit of a stun, especially if you've got the Doctrine on them, it can take a while to whittle the unit away as it comes in. The way to advance against that is to move forward in little steps. Kind of like your stalwarts, how you would move them in and hit the 1 key. Or the Pike Militia, how you'd move them in and hit the 1 key. But these pikes, they don't have a number 1. So how do you drop them into formation if you're not near them? Well, the answer to that is you've got to be right up with your unit. The closer to your unit you are, the more control you have over it. And anytime you're using this unit, you must stick close to them, or you're asking for disaster. Let's look at that again. What I want to show you now is how to get away from the unit if you find yourself too close. See how I'm sticking with the unit? Watch how some of them are too close now. You can move back. It's a thing you can do. Do you see how they often take quite a while to go into brace? And then when you've got these little stray guys around, hit the V key. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, I don't see a lot of people doing this very often for some reason, but if you block up like this, and then you hit the V key, your guys will attack in free mode in multiple different directions. And you can see how much more quickly you can demolish a unit like that. This is particularly dangerous to enemy heroes, especially if they're the only target in range. Because what happens is the whole unit will be able to attack them at once, and they're very, very focused. If I hit V, and I'm the enemy hero standing here, every single one of those pikes will immediately attack the hero. And that is absolutely deadly. So you're going to go XV, just like you would with Iron Reapers or Monastics. And once they group up, hit the V, and you can do that very intense focus damage. See how I'm moving them backwards slightly? That's to give myself more room, because as we've already learned, the pikes do more damage closer to the tip of the pike than they do close to the user. So as you give yourself room by moving backwards and then hitting V, you're creating a very intense amount of damage to a very focused point. And this is an important tactic to learn. It's the most important tactic for this unit to learn. You can even move them in and attack in all directions like this. See now? Problem. You move them back and hit the same button. Now you've got damage going on. Once they're out of the formation, out of the nice tight formation, you notice that their damage drops off significantly. This is why it's really important to give yourself room, keep the unit very close to your hero, and make sure that the enemy are at the tip of the pike. All of these are important principles for using the Fortebraccio Pike unit. For now, let's go and look at them in some real-world scenarios in battles. Alright, here we go in our first real-world scenario. We're pushing up a siege tower here. You can see my Fortebraccios there sitting ready, just out of sight on the stairs to the siege tower. And what's going to happen is these stalwarts here are going to press in. Now, you can't just bash over stalwarts with Fortebraccios, or anything else for that matter. But what you can do is you can very quickly wear down their block with the multiple hits of the top line, or just the whole block in the bottom line, just completely smashing into the unit. And as you can see, any heroes that want to try and dive in and kill your unit are pretty much going to be immediately murdered, because it's such a very narrow space on the top of these siege towers, and they can only come in a very small frontage. And as you can imagine, you've got about 12 Fortebraccios that can hit you immediately. And as with any pike, the momentum of a charge will increase the damage. We're just going to hit fast forward here for a minute until we find a safe time to come up the ladder. Here we go, the time is right. What we're going to do is we're going to follow these stalwarts in. Following in other units is a very good way to use the Fortebraccios, because of course they don't have any shields themselves and their defense is poor. So what we're going to do is we're going to move them in and hit the V key straight away. And watch how we demolish that hero and half of that unit of paladins immediately. Sorry, men at arms, not paladins. Oh, they are paladins. We're going to do the same thing again. We're not using the brace here, we're blocking them up so their damage becomes intensified and immediately attacking everything within range. Watch what happens here. Look, they think I'm facing the wrong way, hit the V key, and watch how quickly the damage builds up on those heroes. Now we're going to use the brace, because we don't know if they're going to come towards us. So we're just going to brace, get ready, and once there's only a few left, move in and hit that V key to delete them. We're going to chase the hero the same way. Move the block in, nice and tight, hit the V key, and the damage is super intensified. There we go, we've captured the A point. Let's go to the next clip. Now, we're going to try and replicate that very good usage that we had in the last video. And here we are looking outside Halong Ford on the attack. And we're not just defending with these Fortebraccios. You'll notice that this last clip and this clip are attacking. We're not just hanging about in a doorway holding the pikes. So again, we're going to follow our units in, which is a very smart thing to do. You can do this without a shield unit or another unit in front of you, but of course it's going to be a lot better. Notice there how my placement was a little bit too close, and so I moved back and replaced it. And you'll notice that throughout this clip, I'm going to keep very close to my unit and control them very, very intensely. When it's safe to move up again, we're going to move up. And again, just like the stalwarts in the last video, we're just going to use that intense frontal brace damage to wear down the block of the spear unit in front of us. Here we go. You notice that we don't get too overly enthusiastic. We try and keep them at the very tip of the pikes, because that's where the damage is the highest. The closer you are, of course, as we've just demonstrated, the less damage you're going to do. So we're going to continue to follow in. As you can see, we're just capturing the A point, so I've decided to spread them out. When they're in that nice wide formation, there's less of them happening underneath that caltrops at the musket through there. So that's a good way to keep the damage down while staying in brace. So we've got the point now, and we're going to keep pushing on through. Again, we're going to use our friendly land sharks and our friendly stalwarts as cover to move through and support them very heavily. Here's another unit of enemy stalwarts, and we're just going to wait for them to come to us, I think. Oh no, they've decided to turn and run away. So at this point, we're going to have to chase them. Let's go. Cavalry comes along, and we think this is a good friendly unit to follow into. Anything that they don't kill, we're going to tidy up. Got a good strong push going on here, and we want to be at the very front of it. So again, see how I'm keeping the unit very close to me. You don't go running away with this unit. You keep them nice and close. And just edge them forward very slightly each time. These poor old cavalry never stood a chance. Straight into the front of the pikes. Anytime a cavalry charges and comes anywhere near this unit, they will immediately die through the brace. Doesn't matter what kind of cavalry they are. Now watch this. Go into brace. He's going to try and knock me out of formation, but I knocked him off his ult as well. And even the back line, just one line of the pikes, destroyed the entire conductory charge. Because when they have a charge into a braced pike, they take a multiple of damage. And here we go. We follow our units up, push everyone off the point, and capture it. Let's move on to our next clip. Right, here we are, defending on Heilang Ford this time. And I'm going to show you what happens when things like a maul, or anything else for that matter, charge into a block of Fortebraccio pikes. He stood no chance. He didn't even kill one, and that's a maul. If you have a hero come into your unit, like a maul would do to break up a unit like that, immediately hit the V key and they will die. It doesn't matter how tough they are. The toughest longsword hero will die instantly. Let's look at another one of those. And here we are, pushing back down to defend the B point. And we notice a hero on a horse. What's going to happen to him if I hit the V key? Instant delete the horse, instant delete the hero. Just like that. That massive long reach is longer than it looks with that pike. Absolutely is a lot longer than it appears. So don't be afraid to take out heroes with your Fortebraccio pikes. Hey, let's go look at some doctrines. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you today is the doctrines, and I saved this till last because I really wanted to show you how the unit performs and all the veterancies and all little tips and tricks before you start thinking about which doctrines you want to put on them. So the only one that I would really highly recommend for everybody is the Epic Polearm Doctrine 2, which of course, when you're in your brace formation, will stun enemies, and that's really going to add to their supreme defense through narrow corridors, and of course it will just destroy cavalry, as if they're not going to do so already. All of the other ones are really up to how you want to play them. I like the Assassination Doctrine, the Breakthrough Doctrine, the Rear Piercing, and the Epic Polearm 1, all because it simply increases the amount of damage they do. And when you put them into that block and you hit that V key, boy, do they destroy heroes, as you've seen. Alright, so I hope you learned something new today about the Fortebraccio Pikemen, or you just enjoyed the video. Thanks for coming to my channel.